everyone, and welcome back to another video from Learning to Learn. In this video we're going to be looking at written division. The first thing that we're going to do is look at some vocabulary that will be used today and talk about the different parts of a division calculation. The first number in a division calculation is what's called the dividend. That is the number that we want to divide. Then we have our divide symbol. Then we have another number. The second number is called the divisor. That's the number that we want to divide by. Finally, in a division calculation, we have an equal symbol. With division calculations, what we are basically asking is how many times does the second number fit into the first number? So in this example, how many times does 5 fit into 25? Let's have a look at some examples using what we like to call the bus stop method, which is called that because it looks like a bus stop. On the screen, you can see an example of 648 divided by 2. In this example, 648 is our dividend and 2 is our divisor. So what you're going to see me drawing is a little bus stop, and what we do is we put the dividend underneath the bus stop and the divisor outside. Then we're going to move working from left to right, asking ourselves how many times the divisor fits into each of the digits of the dividend. So we start with the 6 and we say how many times does 2 go into 6? It goes in 3 times, so we write that above the 6. Then we move to the tens, which is a 4. We say 2 fits into 4 2 times, so we write 2 above. Then we look at the units column and we say how many times does 2 fit into 8? It fits in 4 times, so we write that above the 8. So 648 divided by 2 is equal to 324. Let's have a look at another example. This time we're looking at 693 divided by 3. Remember, 693 is our dividend and 3 is our divisor. So we draw our bus stop, we put the dividend underneath and we put the divisor on the outside. Again, we're working from left to right, asking ourselves how many times does the divisor fit into each of the digits of our dividend. So 3 goes into 6 twice, so we write 2 above the 6. 3 goes into 9 3 times, so we write that, and then 3 goes into 3 once. So 693 divided by 3 is 231. We're now going to have a look at another example following the same method, but it's just going to be slightly different. So we've got 435 and we're dividing that by 5. So as before, we lay out our bus stop, putting the dividend of 435 underneath the bus stop and the divisor of 5 on the outside. Just like we did before, we're going to move from left to right, asking ourselves how many times the divisor fits into the digits of the dividend. When we ask ourselves how many times does 5 fit into 4, it doesn't fit in any times. We don't have enough. So what we do is we put a 0 above the 4 and we carry the 4 over to the next column to the right, the tens column. So that 3 becomes 43. Then we ask ourselves how many times does 5 fit into 43. It fits in 8 times because 5 times 8 is 40, but we don't have enough for 5 times 9 of 45. So we put in 8 above, and that leaves us with a remainder of 3. The 3, as before, carries over to the next column to the right, in this case the units column, and that 5 becomes a 35. We ask ourselves how many times does 5 fit into 35, and it fits in 7 times. So 435 divided by 5 is 87. Let's have a look at another example where we need to use remainders. We're going to have a look at 292 and we're going to divide it by 4. Again, we're going to draw our bus stop, we're going to put our dividend of 292 underneath the bus stop, and we're going to put our divisor of 4 on the outside. Then we're going to move from left to right, asking ourselves how many times 4 fits into each of the digits of our dividend. So when we ask ourselves how many times 4 fits into 2, it doesn't fit in at all. So we put a 0 and we carry that 2 over to the next column. 4 goes into 29 7 times because 4 times 7 is 28. That leaves us with a remainder of 1. So that 2 in the units column is now a 12. 4 goes into 12 3 times. So 292 divided by 4 equals 73. We're now going to look at methods for written division where our divisor is a 2-digit number. In the past, people have used something that's called long division, but it can be just that. It can be long and it can be quite tricky. So we're going to look at 2 methods that you can use when dividing by a 2-digit number. The first thing that we need to do in order to work out which method we're going to use is look at what type of number the divisor actually is. We have got two different types of numbers. We've got composite numbers and we've got prime numbers. A composite number is any whole number that can be made by multiplying other whole numbers together. So for example, 6. 6 can be made by multiplying 2 and 3 together, so it's a composite number. A composite number is a number that has got more than two factors. A prime number then is a number that only has got two factors. It can only be divided by itself and 1. So for example, 13, 17 and 23. When we have a division calculation and the divisor is a two-digit number, we have to begin by asking ourselves, is that divisor composite or prime? And the answer to that will determine which method we take when dividing. So in this example, we've got 432 and we're going to divide that by 12. 12 is a composite number because it's got a range of factors. You can have 6 and 2, 3 and 4, 12 and 1. We're going to split it and use the factors 4 and 3. We apply the same bus stop method as we did before, but this time we're going to divide our dividend of 432 by one of our factors. So we're going to start with 4. So again, we work from left to right, asking ourselves how many times does 4 go into each of the digits of 432. 4 goes into 4 once, it goes into 3 0 times with a remainder of 3, and it goes into 32 8 times. That gives us an answer of 108. We then take that answer and transfer it over to a new bus stop. We then divide that answer by the other number in our factor pair, so in this example, 3. Again, we're going to move from left to right, asking ourselves how many times 3 fits into each of the digits of 108. It goes into 1 0 times with a remainder of 1, it goes into 10 3 times with a remainder of 1, and it goes into 18 6 times. So 432 divided by 12 is 36. Look at an example where our divisor is a two-digit number, but it's not composite, it's a prime number. And remember from before, a prime number means that it can only be divided by itself and 1. It's only got two factors, so we can't therefore find a factor pair. What we do in this instance is we draw a bus stop as usual, we put our dividend underneath 468, and we put our divisor of 13 on the outside. We're then going to help ourselves by recording a list of the multiples of 13 on our page. Then what we're going to do is complete the bus stop method as normal, but use the list of multiples to help us. So we ask ourselves, how many times does 13 go into 4? It goes in 0 times with a remainder of 4. Then we ask, how many times does 13 go into 46? I'm now going to use my list by counting down the numbers, and I can see that 3 13s are 39. So it goes in 3 times. I then need to work out what the remainder is. So between 39 and 46, we've got 7. So the 8 becomes 78. Then we say, how many times does 13 go into 78? And using my list again, I can see that it goes in 6 times. So 468 divided by 13 is 36. So that's everything that you need to know about written division. So remember a few tips. We use the bus stop method, we work from left to right, and we need to add the remainder to the next column if there is one. If it's a two-digit number that we're dividing by, we work out if it's composite or prime. With the composite number, we find a factor pair, we divide our dividend by one of the numbers in that factor pair, and then the answer from that calculation we divide by the other number in the factor pair. And if it's a prime number, we make a list of them down the side and use that to help us with the normal bus stop method. Thank you for watching our video on written division. We'll see you in the next one.